so we've just finished watching Roxanne Roxanne and done a little bit of research, follow-up research on it. I just have a few questions to facilitate the conversation. We're going to talk about how accurate it is and what we thought of the film. So, could you guys tell me a little bit of what it's about and how you guys liked it, what you thought?
So the movie is about Roxanne Shante, who is the first female rapper, well, I guess first famous female rapper, and it's basically just about her life and all the struggles she went through and how she became famous. I personally wasn't a fan of the movie. I thought it went a little slow, but I understand why, because, you know, it had to be about her life and we had to understand, like, everything leading up to, you know, like, the main big events.
I liked it. It went a little quick for me. I'm like, agree. But I liked it. It was a well put together movie. I thought it was rushed a little bit, just because of time.
Yeah, it was only an hour and 40 minutes, right? So you guys did a little research after the fact about her life. How accurate do you think that the film was in portraying some of the events and the things that happened to her?
So I thought that it was very accurate just because Shante herself was actually part of the recording process and everything. So because it was based on her life, she wanted to be an accurate representation of her life. So basically all the names are the same, all the time frame is very close, and it's just a good representation, I think.
I agree. I feel like they couldn't have done a better job to portray the movie and portray her as a person and her growing up and all the hardships she's been through and just all the relationships and just everything is just, it's in there.
All right. Do you guys think that any people or events were exaggerated at all to make the movie more Hollywood friendly, or do you think it was all pretty realistic and based on her life?
I think it was based pretty much on her life. I mean, her boyfriend / manager, he actually was abusive. He actually did break her ribs, and she went to the hospital. In the movie, they said that she was 16 whenever she had her kid, but she was actually 15. So that's a little different, probably just for, like, to make it sound better, I guess. One thing that we don't know for sure is if her mom was actually depressed and had an alcohol problem. That could definitely be Hollywood just trying to make it a little worse than it was. But her mom's boyfriend actually did take the $20,000 and all that kind of stuff is true.
I agree with her, but the whole alcohol thing, it did make things hard on the family, with the sisters and like having 3 siblings was really rough, and having Roxanne to like try to be there for her mom and like pay for the bills, go to school while she's all like 14. It's just...
And it is accurate that she was doing some shoplifting for other people to pay the bills, and also her rap battles. She continued doing that since she was, I think, around 8 years old. I think it was her mom actually that took her to her first rap battle, which was for $50, and she won all of them.
She eventually like $250
a rap.
$250, right?
Yeah,
all of them.
Yeah. So do you guys think that it was possible to gain an understanding of Roxanne's life and her popularity through this film, or do you feel like doing more research helped you get a clearer vision? What do you think about that?
I think that it accurately represented that as well. I mean, you can tell that her fame did not happen overnight. Like we read, you know, that process doesn't go on the radio overnight, but it did. She did gain a lot of fame from that.
I agree. It felt like legit in the movie, like it was overnight, and you know, like everything was just presented to us like bam, like she's on tour, she's doing all these things, and yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, one thing that was accurate that did happen really fast was the making of the record. We heard in an interview with her, and then it was also in the film that she was on her way to go do laundry, her mom's laundry, and then she got called up by her producer then, and then soon-to-be manager, I think, to rap one verse. And so she did it in like 7 minutes, got the laundry, everything was okay. And supposedly she was on the radio the next day, but it obviously wasn't that. But it's very impressive to be 14 years old and do a freestyle rap in 7 minutes. So
Yeah.
that was awesome. So do you guys think that this film had any pieces of being like a work of art? Do you think it was more documentary style? And if there was any like forms of art that weren't, exactly as her life went, what do you think those were?
I think it was very documentary style. Like, it was definitely very bullet point of this happened, this happened, this happened, not too much going outside the box with that, which makes sense because we needed to know from like 8 to 25 in a matter of like a little over an hour. So it makes sense, but it is impressive that they had to record it in the style of like the 80s, just a few years ago, so I think that's artistic.
I was really just looking at the shots of the whole movie and looking at the lighting and looking at everything that basically they kind of formatted in the movie was really impressive. But the movie itself was very like historical and very like factual based, and like everything was pretty accurate with the facts.
I agree. All right, so I think that's a wrap for this conversation. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Thanks.